All right, I wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about my views on immigration. All right, so I think a country is defined by its borders. The definition of a border is a line that separates things. If things are not separated, there is no border. Having said that, I also think it's cruel and messed up to rip people away from their families when they're law-abiding citizens and hard workers and have their roots here. But then the argument becomes, we should only deport the criminals. And that's hard to determine who's a criminal, really, because, I mean, if they're undocumented, we don't know. And the only difference between a person and a criminal is one crime. We do those all the time. You run one red light, like I did that 3 times today. So how are you gonna decide who a criminal is? It makes it much more difficult than to just have like a blanket statement like, hey, nobody comes in. It's not like we're trying to hurt you because you're not bad. It's just, it applies to everyone. It's like if you break up with a chick and then she's like, she calls you after you haven't spoken for months and she's like, hey, I got a flat tire. And you're like, dude, we're not doing that. You definitely have other people. I'm not the only person. And then she's like, well, you're not going to help me out when I need a flat tire. It's like, well, no, if you isolate the event without the context, sure, you look like an asshole. But then you expand and zoom out a little bit and you realize there's a bigger force at play here. And you can't just have, it's not a country if people are going in. If there's no border between USA and Mexico and Canada, then they're not country. It's one continent at that. The continent is the country. Like Australia. Then we're Australia. You want that to happen? Hold on, thanks, all right. But I love Mexicans though. And they've only benefited my life. I've had several Mexican people benefit my life greatly this week. And they were affordable, and they were polite, and they were hardworking. And aside from business and services, just the Mexican people I know are cool, and they don't get offended, and they're fun to hang out with and stuff. But I also think, and this is the most important part, I think that nothing I think is important. It doesn't matter what most of us think. I have opinions and stuff. Other people do too, and none of us have anything to do with the problem or the solution. Well, I think I know more people that contribute to the problem than the solution. And by that I mean I know more Mexican guys from Home Depot than I do politicians in government. They're more ingrained into American society than American politicians are on a large degree of just like the everyday blue collar workers. But I'm just some guy. I'm not in control. I'm not in power. And if I was, you guys would have bigger things to worry about than immigration. You'd have to worry about velociraptors. I would bring dinosaurs back. I would have the best scientists in the world make Jurassic Park a reality. And they would fight the robots. And we would get to watch. But sometimes accidents would happen. And I'd say the same thing I'm saying now is just that, dude, I just lost my driving privileges. God damn it. I hope you can't hear that beeping. It's pretty bad. I'm gonna have to pull over. I'm gonna have to start driving or pull over. I don't want to start driving because then now it's dangerous.
Yo, mama and your cousin too. Riding in the slab on roads. Going up codeine, moving slow.
But yeah, if I was in power, it would be a dictatorship. And there's a cop behind me, great. For sure dictatorship, like, oh, you can't, like, everyone has to agree with me. Yeah, for sure. The world would be a better place if we all agreed. The whole, like, oh, let's have different beliefs but respect each other's beliefs, that's bullshit, dude. If you believe differently than me, die. You should die if you don't agree with everything I say. Because if you don't agree, what happens? War. You want war to happen? No. Then agree with me. I'm right about everything. I may be crazy, but I'm right. and then you got to ask yourself, who's funding these protests that are pro-immigration? And it's big corporations. Why would big corporations want to promote mass immigration? Because that ensures lower wage workers, below minimum wage a lot of the times. And, well, the big corporations want more illegal immigration because then they can pay them less. Capitalism is founded on exploitation. The richest people have a bunch of poor people under them. That's just the way it works. That's the way reality is structured. Everything is just a pyramid scheme. And being a minimum wage worker is essentially being a slave. I mean, you can't afford to live by yourself in any state on minimum wage. So these people are barely getting by, often probably hungry and malnutritioned. Whereas, I mean, slaves, they couldn't afford to starve the slaves. They needed them to eat well so they could be healthy enough to do labor, to do physical labor. So it didn't make sense. And they'd have to sleep well to recover. So I'm saying there's probably slaves that had a better life than minimum wage workers today. And no, like, you know, most slavery was probably horrible. But just like you're saying, no, not all of the immigrants are criminals. There's a lot of good ones. Sure. Same applies here. Not all of the slaves were just beaten and tortured their whole lives, although that did happen a lot. There's probably some ones that, you know, they had some cool owners. They let them out of the house sometimes, or I mean, dude, black people are really strong and really athletic, and they travel in gangs. So to restrain them for an entire life, that seems difficult, to just always have to be on it. It seems like a better approach to just like be nice and be like, what are you going to do if you leave? You have a house here, you have food here. More like a coercion than a violent threat. And I mean, you know, we've heard who was behind the slave trade. I don't know if that's true, but that information has been coming out lately, and a certain group of people were the largest per capita owner of slaves, and they seem to be winning at everything, folks. It's crazy how such a small group of people can have so much power and have the eyes of the entire world on them. And I think that's because they have one big superpower, or two big superpowers, that no one's really mentioned. You know, and I realized this, I was scrolling Instagram the other day. You know, sometimes I'm scrolling Instagram and I see some cool boxing moves, or sometimes there's a guy telling a good joke or a funny skit. Sometimes it's a chick with massive knockers. Whatever, you know, maybe I'll take a look. Sometimes I'll investigate. Maybe a little zoom here and there. It's not weird, everyone does it. And I'll notice that many of these women with massive spherical miracles are from that country. I think that's the secret sloppy milkies that serve as a power source for them to win all of these wars and have people do their bidding over the last 1,000 or 2 years. Or maybe it's just motivation, like I gotta finish up this genocide so I can get back to those fucking beef balloons. You know, it might be a motivation thing, but and Mexicans have fat asses, so they should be they should be controlling the media. I don't know, man. Well, what do Mexicans have to do to win this? I guess they have to start getting fake tits. But that can't be the solution either, because they're doing that in Colombia, and a Colombian's basically a Mexican with a fake tits and ass. That's not true. But yeah, Colombia's not doing too hot right now. They just had a political assassination, and communism's taking over. What else does that country have that other countries don't? They have a lot of gay people. Maybe being gay is the answer. I mean, there's a lot of successful gay dudes in politics and show business, which seem to be hand in hand, really. Because politics are just a show, but it's supposed to be a reality show. Whereas movies, you go in there knowing that it's not real and it's just a fantasy you came to enjoy. But they use the same tactics, like the moon landing. Hollywood technology repurposed as the real thing. Probably. Looks pretty fake. Does that mean all the space videos are fake? I think it does, yeah. Which I saw this guy pour out water and then it was a blob and he was playing with it and the GoPro goes in it. I'm like, dude, I don't think that was fake. I don't know what the explanation was though, if it wasn't space. But like if space is real, why the stars haven't moved in 30,000 years? Well, because they're really far away and the light takes a long time to travel. Yeah, but they're in the same place that they were built like thousands of years ago. They didn't move in thousands of years. I don't know, man. I'm headed down to San Antonio to do a show. So I only got 35 minutes left. This drive went by pretty quick. Usually when you're driving to San Antonio, it'll start out like an hour and a half and then it'll be like 2 hours by the time you get there. And I'm going to try to talk about this on stage tonight. I hope this doesn't sound... I hope nobody tries to stab me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But if they do, whoa! You know? Relax. But, the goal's to be funny, but it's also about to get some, it's to make you think. If I can do anything, I just want to make you reconsider stuff. Because there's so many different angles to view things, and I think that's where true intelligence comes into play, is when you're able to examine different situations from different perspectives and see through the eyes of different people. Because I've been thousands of people, because of DMT and stuff, but you gotta put that application to use. I should probably just end this because I'm just gonna go crazy just trying to fill space with words, because I felt like I recorded this already and it was longer, and this is like half as long, and I wanted to compete with the last one, but I didn't have this microphone on, so the audio is absolutely fucked. And also, if we're how can you protest ICE when it's this hot outside? Come on, guys, we're having fun here. We're having a good time. It's that's why immigration is a thing. They want to come here and they want to party and they want to dance. Dancing is the pinnacle of success. That's why that one country's always doing it. They're always like, we will dance again. Let us dance. And then they're always at a dance party whenever, on that one day where that thing happened. I'm not there yet. I guess when you conquer everything else in life, or you just have nothing else to worry about, the final frontier is just like, let's see what my body can do. Which, I mean, as a martial artist, I get that. I want to maximize my physical potential. I don't get the whole dancing thing, though. They probably just want to jiggle those sloppy milkers. That's what it is. That's the spell. Do they dance and then they jiggle and then it casts a spell and it protects all the soldiers and makes them have high technology rockets or something like that? Because so that's a superpower. Superpower number one, social engineering is how I'll phrase it. Being able to manipulate people and pretend to be other people. Number 2 and 3, boobs. Number 4, technology. Which technology, some say, is a product of Satan. And one of the reasons they say that I find interesting is if you look at a circuit board from a computer, or like a graphics chip, it looks eerily similar in shape and organization as ancient Aztec temples and other ancient ruins. So it's almost as if they're just tiny little satanic temples beaming light into another dimension, which there's a lot of evidence behind. That's what the Great Pyramid of Giza was doing. And it is another dimension. This right now, you're looking at another dimension. You're not looking at space. There's no space here. There's no time here. You can go back and you can skip around. You can't measure the weight of this video. It doesn't really exist physically. It's another dimension of light where you're able to see into a different space and time. In real time, you're seeing this right now in your now, but your now is later than this because I didn't upload it yet, and probably never because nobody's going to see this. But little satanic temples and computer chips. I don't know, man. It all just really ties into some massive spiritual conspiracy that's been going on for thousands of years. No schizo, though. You got to say that after a long one of these rants. You can't just raw dog talking about satanic computer chips without hitting them with a no schizo. You feel me? Like I said, I might be crazy, but I'm right. Crazy is being delusional and believing things that aren't real. If you think any of the stuff I'm talking about isn't real, you just haven't looked into it enough. You heard a peripheral explanation or a tertiary explanation without digging deeper and getting to the root. And I'm gonna root for you. Thanks for listening.